Recording. 1, 2, 3.
The bigger picture. That is what you Hollywood stand for. I push myself every single day to make videos beyond anything else.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry for that little malfunction there. So, I have on a very electrifying guest. I met this gentleman when I went into the Keemstar stream the other day. How are you doing today, sir?
What's up, fuck bitches? I'm back. It's your master peasants, the Black Messiah, and don't you fucking forget. No, I'm just kidding. What's going on, people? Tommy, I just want to say thank you for having me on your show, and to the best of my ability, I will behave.
No problem, man. That I do appreciate that. So, okay, get your name right. How do you say your name?
Minnesotaboyy.
Minnesotaboyy. Now, you're not much of a boy, are you? You're more like a man. So how come
I'm a man child.
You're a man child? Now, get down to the nitty gritty. What?
Where?
Huh?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I thought you wanted me to explain myself. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right. Now, I guess before we get into the deep interview, the deep core of this interview, where does Minnesotaboyy come from, and who inspired Minnesota?
Well, Minnesotaboyy came from Minnesota, obviously. I'm originally from Minneapolis, Minnesota, for those people. The name, I guess, always stuck with me because, you know, when I used to play football, I used to get like these Nike ID shirts made online. You can order them on the website, and I used to always put Minnesotaboyy 23 because that was my football jersey number. Then when I made my first YouTube channel, the URL link is Minnesotaboyy 23, and that's just basically from my old football. Before I started doing like gaming videos and stuff, I used to actually upload like workout videos and shit. So Minnesotaboyy's always been around since I was like 17. As far as I'm concerned, I started doing YouTube in 2013 and started doing gaming, and then from gaming, most of the controversial shit that you see now.
All right. Now, who inspired you to be a part of YouTube?
I wasn't even inspired. If you want to be honest, money. I was in a lobby one night, and some kids were like, "This kid's funny as fuck," and they thought I had a YouTube channel. So they asked me. I'm like, first they thought I was Minnesota Burns. At one point I didn't know who the fuck that was, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But I was trash talking one night, and these kids thought I was funny. They were like, "Hey, do you have a YouTube channel?" I'm like, why the fuck would I do YouTube or gaming? Then they were like, "You can get paid," and then that just sparked my interest. I was like, what the fuck? You can get paid on YouTube? People do YouTube for money? So then I started investing in my time and was like, oh, okay, all right, well, I could do Call of Duty trolls. I mean, I trash talked on Madden all the time, so I was like, there's no difference. So that's pretty much what inspired me. Not anybody in particular, but just the objective or the motivation to be somebody and make money. Because after all, I don't want to work a 9-to-5 job.
Now, do you have a job besides YouTube?
Oh yeah, I gotta work, man. I'm a black slave.
Oh, wow, I shouldn't laugh at that. I'm like, oh, that's horrible.
Well, you know, the majority of the fucking comments hate me anyway, so they'll look at that and laugh too, so.
Oh, jeez. So, let's get down to I guess we'll get down to the nitty gritty. What in your mind put in your head to go over to one of the most popular YouTubers, grab him by the neck, and basically try to expose him? What exactly pushed you into doing something like that? And also that I've only been the person that sat on the outside, that heard a bunch of speculations that you were picking fights with other YouTubers. And why do you want to pick fights with other YouTubers?
That's a very intelligent question, actually, and I'm about to answer that. You see, the truth is, and we're talking about this shitty content reactor named Blasphemous, I guess. The real truth is, I never started a fight with Blasphemous at all. It all started back in 2014. He thought I was talking shit about his channel in a live stream, so he started to, I guess, trash talk my channel, and we both got into a big argument, and then we left the live stream on that, just hating on each other, I guess. He ended up going to like VidCon for the first year, and then he called me out and was like, "Hey, why don't you come out here and fight me? You said you wanted to fight me." And then I blocked him on Twitter, and he blocked me on Twitter, so it never happened. 2 years later, I go to VidCon. Mind you, we're blocked on Twitter. I don't know what the fuck he's doing with his channel. I didn't know he had 1 million subs. None of that shit. And I'm sure he wasn't looking at my channel. But I go to VidCon, and most of my content, I was interviewing YouTubers. I didn't go there to meet up or collab with anybody. I was just like, well, I don't do collabs, and I really don't know anybody at VidCon. So me and my homeboy, I bought him a ticket, and we was just fucking around and just walking around and talking to people. We go into the fucking main event. We're like the big center, the big area, and out of nowhere, I'm fucking with my camera. I hear this guy, yo, that's the guy. I remember this dude 2 years ago. And I look up, and I'm like, Blasphemous? So I didn't know his reaction or what the fuck he was gonna do. I'm just looking at him. He starts walking over towards me, starts pointing at me, and is like, this is the guy. And at the time, I was already recording. He didn't know I was recording, but he was just so focused on me, so I gave the camera to my guy. But he was like, this is the guy that said he was gonna kill me and my mom. Right on my fucking camera. This is my platform. This is my content. And you're going to sit here and tell everybody that I threatened you and your mom? Okay. So at that point, he starts poking me in my chest. I have the videos on my channel, so I'm not making this shit up. He starts poking me in my chest. He starts poking me like, yeah, this is the guy right here. So I'm over here trying to move his hand like, get the fuck off me, right? But I'm trying to keep my cool.
Yeah.
So long story short, at that point, I'm like, his content is ass. He's shitty as fuck, and he shouldn't be on YouTube. He's stealing people's content because he was already disrespecting me and trying to assassinate my character. He was trying to assassinate my character, so I was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna just go ahead and do him. And at that point, he was like, yeah, I remember that shit, and he pushed me out of my camera, and I pushed him fucking back. Now, the crazy thing is, people saw that fucking video, and I guess white people were sitting here trying to paint the narrative that I'm violent and I'm just hateful, and I'm hateful towards every fucking body. I'm just a conflict that just likes to get into with anybody for attention, and that's not the case. I went to VidCon to have fun, and he just ran into me, and he was just like, that's the guy. Now, he tried to say, oh, this guy threatened my mom and tried to play the victim card. And everybody, of course, his fans came to my channel, and people were like, well, he's the bigger YouTuber, so I'm going to believe him versus the guy who made the Dear White People video, because I already hate this motherfucker, so fuck him. It's pretty much like a win-win for him. He doesn't have to show proof or do anything. So you want to know what the fuck I did?
What'd you do?
I waited for him to make his bullshit story, and when he made his bullshit story, I dropped a video called The Blasphemous HD Scandal, which he tried to remove. The reason why he tried to remove it is because it was so broken down to every fucking lie he said. I had video proof, documentation. Long story short, I found out he stole my social security number, and he used it a year before he actually started blowing up on YouTube. Because it was all linked back to he lives in Las Vegas, and I couldn't think of anybody else that lived in Las Vegas. So I started doing my research, found out he was the same guy that used my social security. And that was the story that Keemstar was supposed to play on Drama Alert, and Scarce ran the story as well. And that's the biggest thing between me and Blasphemous. It wasn't we were going to fight at VidCon. It was that we already had prior beef. And then I found out and discovered that this motherfucker used my social security number, and I was pissed. So I said, okay, fuck it. I got to make a video about this. And that's pretty much what transpired over the internet and had everybody talking. It wasn't just a fight, but it was more like, oh shit, he just dropped this video. And then Blasphemous responded by, Minnesotaboyy doxed me and he's gonna go after my family and shit. And I'm like, dude, I'm not a hacker. I wasn't known for a hacker. I'm just known for talking shit. I guess one of the bigger YouTubers, Grade A Under A, seen that video and said it was untoppable. He told me, he was like, that video was the best exposed video that he ever saw. And then I believe Colossal was crazy also said it in the stream the other day too. He seen the video, he thought it was good too, but he didn't think it was the best. But so that's pretty much it between me and Blasphemous. Did I try to start the fight? Hell fucking no, because you can clearly see in the video him walking up to me. him putting his hands repeatedly on me, but then everybody, since they already hate me, they're gonna find some fucking way to try to, assassinate my character. And that's what he tried to do, but he failed.
All right. Now, with the other subject of you going up to this other YouTuber, and of course, I kind of watched the video, and I watched Blasphemous HD. Wait a minute, what's his name? Did I get his name right? The guy with the big chin.
Factfamous HD. Yeah.
Yeah. I watched his video, and I don't see you like what I see in the shot, I guess, is you just putting your arm around him and saying, "Okay, you're exposed." Now, what exactly provoked you wanting to expose him exactly?
Okay, here's the thing. He misconstrued that whole thing. He lied. He basically said that I walked up to him. No, he walked up to me and I was scared. But I also played another clip that he didn't know that I was recording. The next day after that happened, he tweeted and said, "I ran into some asshole that I got into with 2 years ago. I'll make a story time about him, but I'm not going to give him no shine because his name is irrelevant." The next day, we're in the courtyard, me and my guy. We're sitting down, minding our business. I'm on Twitter and I'm just walking around and I'm looking at my camera. He says, "Oh shit, dude!" And I look up and I'm like, "What?" And now we see Blasphemous and his crew. He's walking.
No,
over.
I'm not talking about Blasphemous. I'm talking about the other YouTuber.
Oh, you're talking about Matthew Santoro.
Yes, that's what I'm talking. I'm talking about Matthew Santoro.
Okay, Matthew Santoro. This is the thing. I respect Grade A Under A 100%. Like, I like the guy a lot because he calls people out on their bullshit. He called Matthew Santoro out pretty much because he plagiarized, people's content or whatever on the internet. When he called him out, Matthew Santoro, I guess, didn't respond directly, and make an apology video. So what I decided to do was, since I seen him, it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to VidCon and I'm just going to look for these YouTubers. I'm walking around just like every fucking body else. If I run into you, I'm going to take pictures. I took pictures with Boogie2988. I also got him in my vlog. I mean, there's a lot of people there. I walked on the escalator. I walked down. I see that Matthew Santoro's down there. I look at my guy and I'm like, dude, that's the guy that fucking Grade exposed for the plagiarism shit. Now, I'm one of those guys that's like a news reporter that runs into the fucking traffic of war. If you see gun bullets flying, everybody's trying to duck and cover, but not the news reporter. He's running out there because he has to get the footage. So I'm one of those guys. I'm a daring photographer or a reporter. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, I mean, I'm the reporter of fucking VidCon. Like, I had the best fucking VidCon video. So I walk up to Matthew Santoro, right? And it wasn't aggressive or at all. But again, because my name has been used in a hateful manner, because I attack a certain group of people, because he's white and he has a big following, the majority of whites are going to only think, oh, this is the guy that claims we're all racist, so fuck him. He's over here fucking thinking he's a douchebag and trying to put his arm around Matthew and force him to fucking admit it. That's not what happened. You can see in the video, I'm like, "Hey, Matthew, how's it going?" My demeanor is like being nice, and I'm just like being happy going. Like, I'm just talking to the guy. He's like, "Hey, man, what's up?" I'm like, "What are you doing at VidCon?" He's like, "Nothing, man, chilling. What about you?" And I said, "Oh, nothing, exposing YouTubers." And then you can tell he kind of got offended and triggered. He's like, oh, exposing YouTubers. Like who? And I'm like, you. He's like, so what did I do? I said, dude, you, Grade A exposed you. He said, so about that, so I'm like, what the fuck? So wait, you put on this character to try to pretend that you didn't get exposed, but when I mentioned Grade, you back the fuck off? So, when I said that, he was just all cool about it. And he was like, yeah, about that, sometimes we got to learn our mistakes. And, like you, one day you're going to make a mistake and you got to own up to it. And it was pretty funny because I got into a Blasphemous right after that. So,
I'll admit, I guess I have made a few mistakes here on YouTube. I made a mistake uploading the video where I got drunk with my friend. I don't know if you heard that from Keemstar. Like, I was in a hotel room with my best friend, and she was leaving town, and I got drunk with her, and we were just having a good time, and I recorded a movie review with her, and I uploaded it, had my editor upload it. I should have told him, yeah, cut every part where I'm looking like a goof, but I just told him to upload it straight, and that was one of my biggest mistakes ever.
Well, shit happens. I mean, I remember one of his best friends said the ER on his streams multiple times. I mean, you can find links to those videos on YouTube, people. So I get the whole drunk thing, but it happens. I don't drink, but I understand.
Yeah. And, I had to say that, what was it like meeting Matthew Santoro? Was he brief with you, or did he, like, after that conversation, did he just run off like a scared puppy, or what was it? Did he have a decent conversation to have with you after you said you were exposing him?
No, he was cool. The thing is that I don't try to pester people. If I get my message across, I get my message across. I'm not gonna sit here and try to intimidate you or try to make you look bad, even though I guess it came off like that. But it's pretty much you. If you're an honest person, people are gonna buy into what you do. But me, I'm an honest person. I came there directly fucking with people, and I was having a good time. If people want to fuck with me, I'm not gonna get mad, to an extent. But he was he was cool about it. After that, I let him go, and that was it. I didn't try to stay around his fans and be like, oh, this guy was plagiarizing content. I wasn't trying to do all that shit because it's disrespectful and it's bad for business. Because you never know where you're going to be one day, and somebody may do that to you because you did this to that person, or it may come back and hunt you. So
yeah. Now, what's the deal with you and Andy? Because you and Andy were throwing fists on that stream. I was sitting there, folks. If you, I don't know where you can watch that stream, but Keemstar was trolling me and condemning me because I have my disability and stuff like that. And
Keemstar is disabled too, so don't make it seem like Keemstar is like this top-notch troll and all that.
Well, okay, I know you're saying that because you're his friend and everything, and
me and Keem are definitely not friends. I'm definitely not his friend.
Well, okay, well, I definitely, you remember I definitely took a shot at him. After
y'all were going back and forth. The thing with me and Andy, listen, I don't personally have beef with Andy and stuff like that. I don't know Andy, so I'm not going to disrespect him on this platform, but I will say this. It wasn't even my intention to, like, I guess, be so vulgar and extreme towards him in the stream.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that Andy made a fucking Twitter video, and he was responding to my video about iDubbbz. He had no business, just like the rest of these YouTubers had no business talking about it. Now, the biggest thing I find is crazy is that these people can sit here and make a response to me, but when I retaliate, they get so fucking offended. But like I said, in the stream, I think everything simmered down because everybody was kind of expecting this big fight, and it wasn't even. It shouldn't even have escalated at the beginning. But I'm glad that, like, towards the middle and the end, it just kind of died down. I get we were talking more about race and stuff, but for the most part, I think everything was cool. I mean, he knows that I'm like, I don't have nothing against him, and I believe that he doesn't have nothing against me. So, there's no harm done.
That's pretty chill. I'm glad that you guys could settle things. I'm glad that it's all about positivity, man. It's all about being positive and not picking fights with people, And the only reason I made that video on Keemstar was because I thought that legitimately he was like, I've been seeing him like, talk down about Ricky, and people with disabilities have to stand up with other people with disabilities because no one else, is going to fight for them. Honestly.
I agree. I mean, it's like when I take the train. I'll see somebody in a wheelchair. I'll see somebody that's like disabled, and the first thing I'll do is I'll give up my seat. And, it doesn't matter what race you are. You can be white, black, whatever. Like, I done ran into nice people most of the time, white, black, and all that shit. But it's not about how, I guess, society treats people, because let's be honest, we all have our beliefs and opinions behind closed doors, so it makes people passive. But like I said, I got to call out the real shit, and the real shit is racism. Racism in America, and it shows more and more the fact that Donald Trump got elected. Now everybody wants to talk about race, but before he was president, everybody was like, no, dude, what are you talking about? We're all one race, and that's the human race. I find that to be bullshit. I'm first of all, I'm a human, but you're not going to sit here and tell me what kind of human I am. I don't give a fuck if this black guy is cool with white people and he wants to fit in with them. Listen, I'm my own race. I have a right to preserve my people, just like you have a right to preserve your people. And that's just how I feel. So, like I said, the whole thing with the disability thing is that when it comes to whoever it is, I'll give my seat up, and I find that to be more respectful than saying, well, I'm going to choose this person over that person. Like when Keemstar said, who would you choose over the cliff if they were hanging, white guy or black guy? And I said, it depends. Who affected my life in the most positive manner? Disability people don't bother me every day. I'm not out to attack people, unless they come at me. But I don't see myself attacking people based off the color of skin. I only attack people based off the actions. When I say I hate you, I'm not saying I hate you as your skin color. I hate the collective the collective reality that we live in, and your ideology isn't different than another person's ideology if they're white, because they grew into this indoctrinated society that, the social construct is black people are ghetto trash and ignorant, and white people are the superior race, and because we have white skin we're more intelligent and we should run every school and be doctors and all that good shit. So it's like, growing up like that, yeah, that's gonna get under your skin, especially if you're black. Now, me on the internet, I'm vocal. I have my platform to speak just like you have your platform to speak. I think a lot of people are afraid to be vocal because they're afraid of society checking them. People wouldn't just come out and say, well, I voted for Donald Trump because they know they're going to get attacked. Or they wouldn't say I voted for Hillary Clinton because they know they're going to get attacked. So what makes you think they're going to talk about race? I talk about race because I know it makes you uncomfortable. And if it makes you uncomfortable, then there is a problem. You can tell me, you can feed me lip service all day and tell me you're a good person, but if you have a problem with me talking about race or your skin color, then why are you afraid? I thought you're proud. You should be a proud white man. You should be a proud white disabled man or a handicapped man. I should be a proud black man in this country, but neither of us are proud because of the history and the swept under the rug bullshit that we had to go through. You may not necessarily have did anything to do that, but it still goes back to white people. And if you consider yourself white, or if you fall into that, it's gonna rub you the wrong way, especially hearing it from somebody like me, because I never lived in your shoes, so I don't know how you are as a person, and you never lived in my shoes. But anyways, I'm getting off topic. We were talking about the disability thing, and you were defending Ricky. Go ahead.
I think that we dug into some interesting stuff here about the racism. I was okay. In the stream, I was talking about I was telling you about this song that I found a while back ago, the Boss N-word song. I don't know if you've never heard that song before.
No, I've never heard it. So it's what is it? Is it a white guy singing it? Is he being racist, or is it a black guy singing it?
It's a black guy singing it, and basically it's an old western. It's an old western, and one day, me and my friend Hamza were just chilling, and we were talking about, how people said the N-word. So we said, wouldn't that be funny if there was a superhero named Boss N-word? And so we got to thinking, and so we went on YouTube, we searched up Boss N-word, and it popped up. We listened to this song, and I don't know if this makes me racist or not. We were laughing our asses off. We were on the floor just laughing, listening to this song, because it was catchy, quite catchy. If you ever want me to send you the link, I hope that wouldn't offend you if I ever sent you the link so you can listen to it.
No, go ahead and send me the link. Man, one thing about comedy is that I don't take comedy and say, well, listen, if you're going to talk about race, religion, or politics, and it's comedy and it's used to make funny jokes, I wouldn't get mad. And if black people could talk about white folks or Hispanics or Asians and be funny and also be offensive, then why can't black people do, or why can't white people do it? So it's like, I don't get mad. Just like when you guys were asking me about the N-word. If iDub said the N-word, would you get offended? I said, if iDubbbz really felt, or you guys felt that the N-word wasn't such a big deal, then say it to my face. But if you're gonna ask me individually, do I get mad and upset? No, because I get called nigger daily. But if you're gonna ask me collectively as a black unit in this country, are we supposed to be upset? Yeah, you're damn right. And is it anybody's fucking like job or duty besides black folks to preach about or talk about whether or not is the word nigger racist or black people just tripping? That's like, I don't know. That's
sorry.
I don't know.
I was just getting the link so I can send you the click opening the but I think now I don't think it's like, one thing I think about that with the whole racism thing is, I think to a certain extent it's racist, Now, I live in Western North Carolina, and I'm not saying every person here is racist in Western North Carolina. There are some people that I have met that are racist. That if they walked into a black church, they get their butt beat because they get their sorry folks for my language, but they get their ass beat. Most definitely are killed. But
so let me ask you a question then.
Yes.
Because that one thing a lot of people try to say is that racism is dead, but I beg to disagree. Let me ask you a question. Do you have family members that are racist? Whether if it's your mom, your grandmother, or grandfather.
He's no longer with us. My grandfather was. I'm not trying to be hateful about him, but the man did have intentions where he would say racist things, and I don't want to throw him underneath the bus, but he was a good man. But
now, why do you think? Now, I'm gonna ask you another question. Why do you think he was a good man? Because I hear a lot of times, when I ask white people, especially those who don't come off as racist, I ask them. I say, "Hey, do you have somebody in your family that's racist? And if so, explain it." They'll say, "Well, my grandmother or my so and so was racist, but that's my grandmother." Why is it that we allow racism to get a pass every time in America and we try to be hush-hush about it? Especially if it's in your family, something that you can try to contain.
Well, here's what we're talking about here. We're talking about two different generation leaps here. Now, in between, okay, we got the baby boomers over here. That's the World War II generation. So considerably, that's a different generation. And then we have the modern in between here. We have the '90s generation, and then we have the modern generation. So anything beyond that, kids are just like only getting pumped in by the media for what they believe. So you got yourself the '90s generation, which in every generation there is racism. Don't get me wrong. And every single generation, and you look at, there's racism. And you can break it down, and you could try to stop racism, but the thing is, I talk about positivity, but, you could do so much to throw a rock into a lake and make ripples. But the thing,
Let me ask you this question. Does most racism come from white folks in this country?
No, and I hope you don't take this as offense. Some racism comes from African Americans, because African Americans can be racist to white people too. Calling a white guy a cracker is racist.
So you think I want to ask you two questions. One, do you think the word cracker is racist? And two, can you give me an example of a black person being racist to a white person?
Coming out of his car and saying, "You damn cracker, what'd you hit me for?" Like that. And, it would be as racist as him also saying, "You damn N-word, you hit me too." So let's run with that. So you're saying that if I called somebody a cracker, that's racist, correct? Depends. Well, here's the thing. There's a boundary.
No. If I'm literally using it in an offensive term, like if I said, "Tommy, you're a fucking cracker, I hate you,"
that would be racist to me. That'd be like,
that's racist. Okay.
There's as I said, there's racism on both chapters here.
Let's run with that. Can we agree that in order to understand racism, you have to be educated enough to explain the origins of it and what words originated from what party? Like, for example,
I understand cracker comes from the cracking of the whip. Would slap slave, would hit slaves in the back.
The cracking of the whip, and they were called the Cracker Man back in the day, then wouldn't that be a more of a positive term towards white people? Wouldn't they? Because I've heard white people say, "Yeah, I am a cracker, and I used to crack you back in the day, like my ancestors." I don't see how that could be I can see how that could be offensive, but I don't see how that's racist. Because let's take the word nigger. What history do you know with that word nigger? What was done to black people back in the slavery days?
They were put in slavery. Well, and here's the interesting thing.
No. Let me ask you. What did when you were gonna kill a black person?
Well, I would never kill a black person because
no. I'm saying back in the slavery days, if a black person was killed, how would they kill them?
Well, one, they probably would whip them to death or probably shoot them. I'm probably guessing, or hang them.
They would hang them, right?
Yes.
Right, and there were also pictures of black people being burned alive while white folks were trying to take pictures in that picture, correct?
Well, okay. Well, one thing about it is
no. Hold on, because I'm gonna give you my my point. I'm gonna go somewhere with this.
Okay.
So the N word, you see the history and you say, okay, well, we were lynched, we were burned alive, and we were whipped to death. Now let's take the word cracker. Show me a point in history where the word cracker was used in the same way the nigger word was used to white people. I'll wait.
Well, I'm not much dipped into
Does
this.
that make you? But does that make you think a little bit and say, huh?
It does
let's
make me
actually
think a
break
little
down
differently,
what
but
does racism actually mean?
as I
What does
say,
racism actually mean to you?
on both platforms for white people and African Americans, there is racism in the white people, and there's racism in the black people. Now,
So do you believe that there's a such thing as reverse racism?
possibly, like there is reverse racism, and there's even racism in the Cubans, also with Cuban people and Mexican people. I don't know how they want to.
Okay. So let's run with that. Reverse racism. Reverse racism to you would be what? Black people doing the same thing that white people did to them back to white people?
Possibly, yes. If we had switched the tables, and if
I'm
black
talking about today in modern society. Reverse racism is black people being so-called racist to white folks, right?
yeah.
Now, do you consider being a slave as part of being being racist? If a white person was a slave master, does that make him racist?
I'm guessing maybe.
Right. It wasn't a trick question or not. Right. So it makes him racist. So if we go back and say the word reverse racism exists, then tell me a time when a black person enslaved a white person in this country and called him a cracker.
I can't think of any. Because I really haven't researched this. I want to apologize that I haven't really researched.
No. You're good. Because I like this dialogue. So let me explain this. My biggest issue on my platform is that I get a lot of white kids who tell me that I'm racist, who tell me I'm hateful. But the minute I ask them a question, what is hateful? What is racism? The first thing they do is say, well, I didn't educate myself that well enough, or in school we learned that white people enslaved Africans, but once they were freed, we were all equal. Do you see that logic that, like, okay, well, if you came from this generation or this race of people and you were never on the other side of the fence, how can you sit here and tell me what it feels like to be a human being that's oppressed and that's actually suffering in pain? That's like me being the doctor and you being the patient. You are in pain because you have a bullet wound. I'm telling you to hold still while I remove the bullet out. You're like, I'm in pain. I can't stay still. Please, it's hurting. And I'm like, dude, stop being a bitch. Stay still. Let me remove the bullet wound. You're telling me, like, how are you going to sit here and tell me how I feel when you're not the one shot? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, in other words, how is it that white folks can tell black people that they're racist when they were the ones who enslaved black people in the first place?
Okay, let me apply back to that. I was told, I've been taught that also there was also slavery inside of the black culture, because many of some of the black culture actually sold some of their brethrens and fellow brothers just to make $1 with the white man, and they made deals.
That's a good point. You said that some black people sold other Africans into slavery with the white man to make a deal. So let me ask you this question. Why is that a bigger narrative, right, than actual slavery? What I mean is, how come white people are so fond of trying to tell you that we sold ourselves first, but don't want to talk about their history of what they were doing to us for that 400 years? You can sell somebody off and make a purchase and and flip apartheid and make a trade or a purchase from that. But the minute you do that, that person that owns you for 400 years, how are you going to sit here and justify slavery or your ancestors?
I don't justify slavery.
No. I'm not saying you, but don't you see that white people try to paint that narrative and say, well, you sold yourselves into slavery, so technically it's not our fault. Well, you were the ones that were the owners and the slave masters if we did sell ourselves into slavery.
So technically we didn't have to.
If they had a part in slavery, they had a small part in slavery. If we're going off that logic, the biggest perpetrator in this is white folks. And my question is, why are white people so easy to point the finger at everybody? Let's look at times. Barack Obama has been blamed for putting the country in debt, or putting the country in more debt, and claiming that we're still at war and we got all these problems. But mind you, We went to war with 9/11 with George W. Bush. He got us in debt and sent the troops out to the Middle East, and we had a lot of fun. I believe the economy collapsed during his 2 year or his 2 terms. So Barack Obama is being blamed for shit that he has to now fix. People are going to blame him more than George W. Bush. So white people are not going to be blamed for slavery. Black people are going to be blamed because we sold ourselves. Do you see how white people always do that? They'll point the finger at somebody else, especially if they're people of color, but they'll never point the finger at themselves. Nobody talks about George W. Bush running the country and fucking it up, but everybody wants to point the finger at Barack Obama.
Well, there was many positives and negatives to when Bush was president, but that's a different subject for a different time.
Positive and negatives. I just want to mention one good point. You did say that you learned about racism or the history of slavery. Same way that your grandfather learned the history of racism and slavery. You want to know what the difference is?
What's that?
I don't see you as a person that hates people, but I see your grandfather as a person that hates people. But he learned it. He was taught. If somebody is programming you based off of their ideology, then that's the biggest issue that I want to tackle, and that's what I talk about on my channel. But guess what people do? The first thing they do is they'll just come and dislike the video and not even give me a chance. Because white folks have already made up their minds they don't like me. Because I'm one of those rebellious slaves. I refuse to listen to a slave master to tell me that I'm hateful, that I'm a racist, when they were the ones who started racism and invented it. You got to remember, man, I'm younger than this country. I've only been here for a couple of 20-something, 30-something years. I didn't invent hatred. I didn't invent racism. I was born into it. But somehow white folks come onto my platform and say that I'm the Black Hitler of YouTube, or I'm the reason why people hate each other. I'm the reason why racism is still existing to this day. I'm a nobody. I don't fucking have subscribers. How can me, somebody who doesn't have a following, make racism bigger than what it is? White people say that. Not black people, not Hispanic people, not Asians, white people. And that's my biggest issue with the IDub situation.
Because he's a white man and he said the N-word.
No, because he's a white man and he has power. When you got a white society that's dominated 200 and some million white folks in this country and only 40 million Hispanics and blacks, we are the minorities. You guys are the majority, so you get to pick the vote. The majority of the vote always favors in the minority polls. If the majority goes along with something, the minorities have to follow with them. So if the majority feels that it's okay for IDubs to say the N-word, then the minorities like myself who are against that, we have to go along with that, because we'll be hated and we'll be picked apart like I'm being done right now. My channel's being disliked. A lot of people are hating on me, and everybody's saying fuck you. You'll still lose this fight even though you're bigger than IDubs, and he's a scrawny little fucker, but you'll still get your ass whooped. Like I don't understand that logic. It's sad that people want to sit here and tell me that this country is not racist, that these 12-year-old kids who are acting like they're slave great-granddaddies and the white supremacists who are still here claim that they're not racist, or claim that it's just a joke on the internet, but they're just as racist as hearing your grandfather say, I hate niggers. You can't tell me that there's no difference. It's not a difference. It's the same thing. Agree or disagree?
I'm in between, so, my grandfather was at points sometimes where he would fly off the handle, but he wasn't to the point where he actually yelled at a black person and said that. But, he would sometimes in passing get flustered and say something like that negative, like, and, racism. And I was like, Grabby, don't say that. He's like, what? I could say what I want to say. And I'm like, Grabby, come on.
Okay, so he said, I can say what I want to say. Isn't that saying basically I have white privilege and I have a right to speak to my slaves the way I want to because this is my country? That's what privilege is. That's what white privilege is. That's how we paint it, because that's what we've been shown. Know your place, boy. You're colored. You're a nigger. I'm white. I'm a master. We are the superior race. So look at Keemstar. He said yesterday, he said people who are really racist have a hatred inside themselves. That's how you determine racism, right? Now, to a point, he does have a point. But when it comes to other people who imitate that, let's say black folks, like you said, black folks can be racist. I disagree, because there's no point proven. Calling somebody a cracker is like saying, hey, man, You're a cracker. What? Am I a box of crackers that you can buy at the store? Because I can go get some of those. But then nobody gets mad when I ask the clerk, hey, do you got some crackers in the store? White people ain't looking at me like, what the fuck did you just say, boy? You know, because they know that it's silly. It's silly to get upset. You see how you're laughing? It's silly to get upset at a word like that, right? But if
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, if it's the N-word, we know damn well what the hell that we know what white people are saying, because that's a defense mechanism. That's straight up, I am racist and I'm gonna just go ahead and say it, nigger. But my point is, what Keems was saying was, a person can be hateful inside if they truly are a hateful person. How can we still give that person a pass, even though that's a loved one? There has to be a time where you're gonna be like, okay, if I am a really decent human being, right, and I care for everybody, you can't contradict yourself and say that I care for this person who is a hateful person who's a detriment to the human race.
Oh, well,
That's
here's
like
my question.
No, that's like saying I love Jews, but I also love Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler fucking hated Jews and he killed them. So you're gonna give him a pass because you love Adolf Hitler too? No. Everybody said I condemn Adolf Hitler because he's been painted as a hateful person. When you paint somebody as a hateful person, then it pretty much just cancels out that person's opinions or his own beliefs. So by that logic, we should already hate your grandfather, because you shouldn't have to love somebody that's a hateful person. And I'm not saying you should hate your grandfather, because that is your love, that is your history. I can't argue that. That is your bloodline. Your
Sadly,
DNA.
he's no longer with us anymore. He passed away.
And sadly, he's no longer with you anymore. So I can't argue that and say, well, you should hate him, Tommy, because he was racist, and that'll prove that you love black folks. I'm not saying that shit, because to me that's ignorant. That's ignorant as fuck for me to say. But I just wanted to make that point. But go ahead, tell me what you were gonna say.
Wait a minute, I'll try to get my head. Oh, now there's in the vicious way people say N-word, and then the classic, what's up, my E? When people say it with a G, my, I can't say it because that I don't want to be negative, because I feel like this is on a live recording.
So what you're basically saying is there are a collective of parties, white, black, red, brown, yellow, and they're all saying "What's up, my nigga" to each other, right? Or you're just talking about are black people saying it to each other, but they're not allowing other people to say it? Which one?
Yeah, like basically, does that make a white person even racist? Like, even if he's walking up to his best friend that is technically black, does that make him racist if he says, "Yo, what's up, my," like that?
It does make him racist, and I'll explain it. See, I like dialogue because you get to hear the other person's perspective rather than believing in something that you've been taught your whole life and being in a one-dimensional, closed-minded mentality. I think when a white person says "What's up, my nigga," they should already be well informed of what that word has done to us. Not just to us, but what there are people that use that word in a negative way. If I'm going to sit here and be a German, right, what am I going to do to Jews? I'm going to treat them with the most kind, respect, everything. Because I'm not going to sit here and remind myself that us Aryans were the ones who enslaved these people and killed them. I'm going to remind these people that, hey, I'm a decent person and you cannot put me and lump me with the rest of these people. So if a white person is so infatuated with the N-word, I gotta say it because that validates my character and that makes me feel like I'm wanted by black people, then that does make a person racist. Why would you want to say a word that is a bad word, but then you think it's cute because a black person who's ignorant, that doesn't know what the word means, he's entertaining you. He's a dancing monkey entertaining his master for a fucking banana, and that banana's the N-word, and you're dangling it over his head, and he's jumping up and down like nigga, 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 nigga. I gotta get the nigga. The white guy's sitting here saying, "Oh well, if he can say it, I can say it." But you made the word up. You invented it. Yeah, they broke it down to a slang word and made it sound cool and hip, but you made the word up. So shouldn't you be trying to fix things as you say this country's broken? It should be fixed. Start with racism. Fix racism. Let's move away from that shit. After all, IDub said, why don't we all stop using the words? Well, fuck it, I agree. Because I can't stop racism, but I sure as fucking stop saying the word. So stop saying the word. And if it's so hard, then that must tell me that, damn, you must really have hatred for black people, because to call them something that's been used against them, wow, man, what does that tell you about your character? And that's why I say you got to sometimes look at it like, how would my grandmother feel if I had a white guy next to who's 25 years old and she's 63, who lived in apartheid country in the civil rights movement, and she was called that N-word in a negative way towards the people that look like you that I'm hugging up on. She would look at me and say, I'm a disgrace. She'd look at me and probably cry because she started thinking about all the times she was traumatized trying to walk through school in a segregated area, and white people were throwing papers and books and trying to hit her and shoot her and spray her down with water hoses and sick dogs to bite the breasts off the women. She's gonna think about that shit, man. Just like if a woman was raped. If a white woman was raped, everybody, all hell would break loose. Everybody be like, this beautiful woman was raped by this black thug in the park, and thug is a nigga. That's how they paint us on the reports on CNN. And this so-called thug raped her, and everybody's gonna say she's traumatized. We should get her help, and she'll never be the same again. They're gonna try to treat that person, and they're not gonna try to bring up, well, hey, do you want to try dating, or do you like black guys? They're not gonna use that to fucking trigger her because she's traumatized. They're gonna try to avoid things to make her feel better. And so why is it so hard for white folks to help the situation that they caused? Because after all, white people are the problem. We are just the symptoms.
Well, I mean, I have to disagree. Well, to say white people are the problem, I think that I have to disagree with you because, like, separating, because you have to understand, as I said, there's two different generations here. We're talking about, back in the Civil War age, that's the ancestor age there, where the black people were tortured. And so, why can't we say that the ancestors are the problem, the white ancestors are the problem? Why do we have to say every single white person is the problem? Like, because that's kind of negative in that aspect, trying to condemn white people. And you're just trying to live your life, and I'm just trying to live my life, and we're all just trying to be positive. So, in the aspect here, like, we should just forget about racism and we should be positive. It's just, instead of thinking and sitting, okay, how can I get rid of racism? We should just, if you forget about something, it just goes away. And when a troll is trolling you and you keep on the conversation, it's just going to keep rolling. It's okay. It's like a ball. It's like a ball of snow. You throw that pebble down, and it starts collecting. Boom, 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 boom. That pebble's going, and it's making this gigantic ball of snow. What's going to happen when that big ball of snow hits a village? Massive deaths. And the thing is, if you don't take that pebble and you throw it down that hill, you don't get that effect. So the thing is, the main effect I'm trying to say here is, let's forget about racism, folks, and let's stay positive. Let's come together as white people and black people, Latinos, everybody, and stay positive. And let's not divide everything. Let's keep this roof of positivity and make us one whole nation as human beings. Let's not look at us as different colors. Let's look at each other as human beings, because that's how we should treat each other. Not by our color of skin. And yes, there is negative.
Point. You said, well, we should treat each other like human beings. You said, let's treat each other like human beings. So let me ask you this question.
Yes.
Did the Germans or did the Jews forget what the Germans did to them?
No, they still, and I think that...
Okay, so they didn't. They didn't. So why should we forget what white folks did to us? You see what I'm saying? You see how racism is in different forms and different levels? You see how that made you think for a minute. The Jews never forgot, but black folks should forget. Do you see now why I bring up race? Because people are so misinformed. They're taught by a one-sided race that created everything, and we are the ones who are being taught to forget. While you guys are the ones who are prosperous from this country. Think about it. You said forget. What happens when you forget something, right? Let's say you forget your car keys on the table, and every time you leave out to the car, you're like, fuck, I gotta go back inside the house. I gotta do what next time?
Remember.
What is that one word?
Remember.
What did you say?
Remember.
You gotta remember. So what happens if we forget our history in America, this 400-year country that African Americans built? We're going to forget, and then we're going to repeat the same fucking thing. Because after all, we're advancing with technology. Look at drones that are being flown out to kill people. We got guns, automatic shotguns, and we also have fucking bombs and shit. So if we forget what we did to 400 years of the 400 years of slavery to African Americans, if we forget that, what's stopping it from happening again? If not to another race of people, especially by the Caucasians, because I can talk about a list of people who's done it, and these list of people constantly come up as white. Look at the Irish. They were enslaved, but they were enslaved by white folks. Look at the British. The British tried to enslave the Americans with the stupid Boston Tea Party shit. And what did they say? Give me liberty or give me death. So do you forget your ancestors every year on Independence Day when you march and you shoot off fireworks? I think not. Aren't you patriotic?
Yeah.
Do you shoot off fireworks?
I shoot off fireworks.
Right. So you don't forget about Independence Day. So why should I forget about the African American Holocaust? Why should I forget about the millions of Africans that could have been alive today, that could have been prosperous, successful, could have been great businessmen, smart, beautiful fucking kids that are growing up being peaceful and loving with white kids? After all, Martin Luther King didn't have to have a dream. That shit could have been reality. But then your people blew his brains out. So do you see why I bring this up? It's not to make you uncomfortable. It's just to inform you, like, maybe there is a side that you haven't learned yet. And maybe it's time to acknowledge that, damn, I think he's right. I think that we actually should have a conversation about this. Because I want to start learning why is it so uncomfortable to be around black people, and why is it so uncomfortable for black folks to be around white folks? I can't sit here and say, oh well, well, I forgot, because I can't forget, and you can't forget. We all have amnesia, and we have amnesia based off our mothers and fathers before us, because they repeat the same shit, not knowing what they're doing, because they try to forget. Then they pass it on to their kids, because after they're forgetting, they're remembering that, oh shit, I did this when I was a kid. Now my kid's doing it. Fuck. Now racism's going to continue, because what are we doing? Forgetting, or trying to. And then that amnesia effect kicks in. So if we forget, shit will repeat itself. If we're supposed to forget, then why can't the Jews forget their history, their culture? How come Germans can't forget their history and culture? How come everybody on the planet can't forget their culture? Nobody's going to do that. But they want black folks to do it. And I find that the shit to be crazy. White folks are not going to give up this country that was not built by them. It was built by my people. And Hispanics, Asian, Native Americans who were wiped out, by the way, by white folks. Spaniards came in, cut their limbs, maimed them. So we have a history here. And the history has been tried. It's been tried to be swept under the rug. But I got to keep reminding people to keep fighting. Because if you fought for your Independence Day, I want to fight for mine.
I understand.
So Tommy, in society, do you consider a place in America that one day, I guess, blacks, whites, Asians, and everybody could live together and forget about everything and just have a good time? Do you envision one of those dreams, I guess, for America?
Yes. Well, I already see that, white people and black people get along. I've seen white people and black people sitting at dinner tables and stuff like that, and are out at malls talking with each other. And, besides the people that are already negative, there's positive people that have gotten along with white people and black people. So I consider that this country is sometimes, yes, biased, but there is also the positives. And as you know, it's my job to look at the positives. It's, to not look at the negatives, because if I look at the negatives, I'm going to feel negative. And the thing about it is you always have to look on the bright side of life instead of looking on the negative side of life. And so that's why I stay in the middle, and I, stay positive. I'm always preaching positivity, because I don't want to think about the negativity. And honestly, I'm going to tell you, I'm adopted. I don't know what my ancestors were. So, when I was born from my birth mother, and she just handed me over to my mother, I don't know what my ancestors were like, really. So, I always try to stay positive.
So, Tommy, let me ask you this question. I know you said earlier that black folks can be racist. Was there ever a time when a black folk was actually racist towards you? And I mean not calling you a name, but doing anything to you or doing something that caused you harm.
No, I
Because
wouldn't. I've never come across a black person that considerably was racist to me.
okay.
And here's the thing.
Have you ever seen a white person being racist to a black person though, or anybody else?
Not exactly. No, I have not.
Your grandfather was a racist, right?
Um, and doses he was at times.
You can't be. It's not like a light bulb. You can't turn off racism and then turn it back on. It's like either he was a racist or not. Was he?
Well, I'm not going to slander his name, so I seriously doubt it.
Okay. Well, we don't have to go there. So okay, let me say this. If you never witnessed a black person being racist, but then you feel black people can be racist, then don't you think that's unfair? Because after all, this is your perception. This is the way you see life. So how can you speak for a group of people in America or in society and say, oh, these people are like this? Because you're painting a picture of them. Now you can say the same thing about me and say, well, Minnesota, you're doing the same thing. You're saying that all white folks are racist, including myself. But you know the difference is you said that you never experienced racism at all from a black person. At all. And there are 40 million black people in this country. I have experienced racism every day. So tell me, how is it that you can sit here and say that my people are racist compared to your people?
Well, I've just heard it in all different social medias. Like it's I've never physically seen it from my eyes, but I've seen it in social media. So, it's different perspectives. So I've never.
So nobody thought iDubbbz was being racist because it was on social media. But you're telling me that you think black people can be racist on social media? Or you've seen racism on social media? Do you see how we go back to this whole black people can, and I know they can, but then it's like, where's the proof? And then we say, well, God, you're right. Where is the proof? I get what you're saying, but deep down, do I really feel like my answers hold weight to this question? Are black people racist? And what is racism? Do you know who Jane Elliott is?
No, I don't.
Now, black folks consider her a sister, and that is rare in the white community. You should look her up, by the way. I'll link you her. She did an experiment. Me and Klaus was talking about this last night. She did the brown-eyed and blue-eyed experiment. She's a white woman. She's in her 80s, okay? This white woman was a teacher. She taught white kids, and she realized that white kids were taught racism because she feels racism is a learned behavior, but I disagree because I feel it's another form. I think there's two forms of racism, but I do agree on her social experiments. She taught white kids what it felt like to be oppressed or felt discriminated against. And what she did was she separated the kids that had blue eyes on one side of the classroom and put the kids with brown eyes on the other side.
It was on Facebook, wasn't it? I think I saw that. She's an elderly lady, kind of curly hair, big glasses.
She has like white hair. She has glasses, thick glasses, old.
Yeah, I've saw. She had the kids wearing different shirts, and then one girl just walked out because she was pissed about what she was doing.
Right. She's had a couple of series, I believe, where she was going around. I think she was also in the UK and showing the racism and hatred and stuff. My point is that whenever it comes to the word racism, white folks are the first people to turn it down. Like, I don't want to talk about it. I'm uncomfortable. But why are you uncomfortable? It's just a conversation. It's just a conversation. Me and you are having a civilized debate. People would expect me and you to argue and fight against each other. Why is that more important than sitting here and talking to you? Because you feel that you're a human being and I'm a human being. And if we're human beings, then why can't we look at each other as brothers or look at each other as civilized Americans? We live in the same goddamn country and we should be working together. But see, that's what white folks don't feel. They don't feel that we are Americans. They feel that you are an American and I'm still a slave and I should still learn my place. That's what the 12-year-old kids feel, even if you disagree or not. They feel that black folks, they paint them as uncivilized. They paint them as ignorant fools. Now, Jane Elliott took the brown-eyed people and she treated them better and put them in a better position. She said brown-eyed people get to sit in chairs and the blue-eyed people have to stand. The kids got so upset. She even said, brown-eyed people, you guys get to color all day. Blue-eyed people, you got to do homework. And then she said, blue-eyed people, brown-eyed people make fun of the blue-eyed people. And blue-eyed people started crying. I don't like so-and-so. She's mean to me. Oh, so you feel upset. You feel hurt. So how do you think black kids feel when Billy says, you fucking nigger, and then leaves or gets off the internet or DDoSes them offline or doxes them? Like, look at this dumb nigger. You find videos on YouTube like that boss N-word. You find videos, type in the nigger song. Type in Alvin and the Chipmunks nigger remix. Guess what? They got thousands of likes. You don't see no comments saying this is fucked up, this is wrong. You see more and more racism, and it's being okay. It's being normalized, and that's what I'm trying to talk about when it comes to iDubbbz. I don't give a fuck if he uses the word, but the fact that he has a position of power, you damn sure I'm gonna fucking defend that. I'm gonna defend my stance on that. And anybody that's against that, I'm gonna debate them so I can show them, not to send hate to them or not try to belittle them. I'm just gonna show them another viewpoint of how somebody else feels and how we have felt for a long time. And it's so hard when white folks say, I don't want to talk about race. Because when you say I don't want to talk about race, you're saying I don't want to talk to you. I don't care about your feelings. Tommy, I don't care that your grandfather was a racist, and I don't care he's dead or whatever. That would hurt you, and you know it would hurt you. So imagine how I would feel if you would sit here and not give me the chance to put myself in a position to uplift people who have been oppressed that can't speak, but I can speak for them. And so Jane Elliott did that experiment, and she showed white folks exactly how black folks felt, and some of them were just shocked, and that blew up. It actually turned into an experiment all over the UK, in America, and to this day, she even said it. White folks are racist. And then the Indian guy said, you're also saying you're racist. She said, I know, I'm racist too, because she was indoctrinated with racism. She was taught, and she's not afraid to admit it. White folks are afraid because they're afraid that they'll feel like they'll be human for once. Damn, I actually know what it feels like to be hurt. I know what it feels like to be emotional now. Damn, this guy actually felt like this whole time. And it's not even it's a bad feeling to feel guilty, but it's not a bad feeling to actually feel like a human, feel emotional. That's what I'm trying to talk to people. That's why when I call somebody a cracker or call somebody a redneck or a white devil, I'm not calling you a white devil. I'm calling those in my comments who I know is going to be triggered because that's how they feel. And I got to find them because it's easy for white folks to hide on the internet. But it's not hard for me. And if I point you out, you're going to come to me because I know how to trigger you. And so white folks who are racist are going to expose themselves because they're just going to come towards me. They're going to dislike my videos. They're going to tweet me. And when you tweet me, when you interact with me, I now know who you are. That's why I do the things I do. Not because I want to attack white folks, but because I'm trying to get to a solution of, is it hopeless for whites and blacks in this country, or is there actually something that we can prosper from and learn from one side to another? But there has to be dialogue. It can't just be, I'm white, you're black, you're my slave, I run this world. And I may be referencing somebody's videos, but I ain't gonna say his name. But anyways,
I understand. But before we end the show here, man, would you mind chanting something with me here?
Yeah.
Now this is a positive thing. Here on YouTube, we are creators. All of us are creators. We're all equal, and we make our own content. We're all part of You Hollywood. White people, black people, Latino people, every single person out there, we're all part of You Hollywood. The people are making content here. So when I chant this, I'm chanting positivity, and I'm chanting equal rights for people and positivity. So when I chant this is growing the message of positivity and love and passion. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Thank you for breaking that down. I'm ready.
Okay. So it's called You Hollywood. So I'll chant it, and if you want to join along, I had somebody else that wasn't really interested in chant it, but if you want to chant with me, we could chant it to the roof. How does that sound?
As long as your spirit's good, I'm with you. Let's get it.
You Hollywood.
You Hollywood.
You Hollywood. You Hollywood. You Hollywood. You Hollywood. You Hollywood. You Hollywood! Folks, I want to say thank you so much for tuning into this very controversial show of Tommy Talks. I've learned a little bit, and I'm pretty sure my friend here has learned a little bit. And we hopefully will talk more, and maybe I will make an appearance on his show. I don't know, unless he wants me to come on his show. I don't know. I've had many YouTubers contact me and wanted to work with me, and I've had many YouTubers snub me. Because, I've learned, before I go, I just want to say, I have learned in YouTube, there's a code here. There is the YouTubers that have this many subscribers, and then there's the YouTubers that have this many subscribers. That say, okay, I could say many YouTubers I've contacted, they weren't